the light of who you are. So let there be light.
I won't be preaching a sermon. I'll be giving a testimony. It's a testimony that I've actually given in this church before a long time ago, nearly 14 years ago. Some of you will remember it. Some of you have heard it again since. I gave a brief outline of it at men's camp last year, and Steve would remember it. It's a testimony of a time in my life where God provided when I really wasn't in a position to. It was a time of unemployment. It's a story that I've told a lot of places to a lot of people over the years. And I call the story, It Ain't Wednesday Yet. You'll find out why later. I was working for a local building company as a construction and factory manager, and I had 17 builders working underneath me. But over the course of about 6 or 8 months, we just continually ran out of work. To the point where I only had 3 builders left and I had nothing for them to do. And yes, I got the call into the office and said, "Sorry Dave, we're going to have to let you go." And that was scary because I only had 3 weeks of pay left owing to me, and I thought, I got 3 weeks to find a job in Nowra. And that was scary. After 3 weeks, I still hadn't found anything. And I remember at the beginning of the 4th week, early Monday morning, 2 a.m, I woke up in a cold sweat and an absolute panic. What am I going to do? Robert and I, between the two of us, Robin being a school teacher, as you know, our combined incomes were barely making ends meet. We had 5 teenage children at home, and we were barely making ends meet with the two wages, 2 salaries. To lose one was going to be devastating. And I woke up this morning, this particular morning, about 2 a.m, and I did the only thing that I could do, and that was to cry out to God. And that's what I did. I cried out and I said, "Lord, I'm unemployed now. I've got no income. What am I going to do?" And for only the second time in my life, I had this overwhelming peace flood over me. You know, the Bible talks about that peace that passes all understanding. And that morning at 2 a.m, I was flooded with that peace. And the words, "You're going to be okay." Now you may ask, what was the other time? Well, it's interesting. Julie was talking about her daughter Rebecca. The other time, I held the dead body of my daughter, Rebecca, in my arms after she passed away from cot death, sobbing my little heart out. And then I was overwhelmed with this amazing peace as I stood there. And the words, "It's going to be okay." Well, back then it was okay. Yes, we lost our beautiful Rebecca, but then I had 3 amazing daughters after Rebecca, and they are amazing. So praise God for that. So this morning at 2 a.m, again, I was flooded with this peace, and I knew it was going to be okay. But you know, these things aren't just spiritual. They're also practical. And a week or 2 later, after I still hadn't found any work, I was presented with a little bit of an issue. We were still tithing Robin's salary each Sunday. Obviously, we weren't tithing mine anymore because I didn't have one. But I had a choice, either to put that tithe in the plate that Sunday morning or pay the car rego on the Monday morning. I couldn't do both. I didn't have the money. So there was only one thing I could do about that, and that was pray about it. "Lord, what am I going to do? Am I going to tithe this morning or register the car tomorrow?" And very audibly, and if you'd have been standing next to me, I reckon you would have heard it. The words came very clearly to me, Do you trust me or not? Smack. That was a bang in the back of the head. Do you trust me or not? Well, that put me on the spot, didn't it? I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to trust you. And so I put that tithe in the plate that morning. That evening, I was back at church, and after the service, I was called over by one of the members of the church who was out there counting the offering when we used to have the offering bags. And she said, oh, David, there's this envelope in the bag with your name on it. I don't know who it's from. And as soon as she handed me that envelope, those words came back to me, do you trust me or not? When I opened that envelope, there was cash in it. Don't know who it was from, but there was more in that envelope than what I'd tithed that morning. Do you trust me or do you not? The next day I went and registered the car. Over the course of I was unemployed for 8 months. But I was employed because not long after that, a friend of mine who owns a local swimming pool company said, Dave, would you be interested in doing a little bit of labouring work for me? And I know this guy pretty well, and I'm thinking, I know what that labouring's going to be, with a shovel, and it was. But I said, sure. So he provided me with some weeks 2 days, some weeks 3 days, some weeks no days. And I wasn't earning anywhere near what I had been earning. But you know what? It was enough. It was always enough. Whenever I needed money, I got work. And there were other times when we just cruised by and I didn't work. But it was enough. I had to look at the sums and they just didn't add up. But it was always enough. And the times, as I said, when I needed to pay a bill, I got work. And it was enough. Now, during that time, I ran into a little bit of trouble. I ran into a little bit of trouble with the law, as a matter of fact, which was a little embarrassing. I actually got booked for drink driving. Now, those of you that know me know that I enjoy a beer or three. And one particular Saturday, there was a youth function on, and Robin had taken the kids up to the church that afternoon, and she was heading on to Shell Harbour to visit a friend in hospital. And she said, I'll pick the kids up at 9:30 on the way home. And I thought, you beauty, Saturday night, I'm home. I'll have a couple of beverages and have a really nice evening. Well, midway through the evening, Robin rang me and she said, I'm going to be late. Can you pick up the kids at 9:30? I'm going, I thought I've had a couple of sherbets and a can of bump. And I thought, no, I'm good. No problem. 9:30, good as gold. Not a problem. Drove up here, picked up 2 of my daughters, got halfway down Illaroo Road. There was the RBT, flagged me in, blew over, 0.06. Just over. And I'm thinking, it's not possible. I should be 0. But I wasn't. I was 0.06. I got arrested. I had to leave my 2 daughters in the car parked on the side of the road on a Saturday night. Fortunately, my son and his fiancée were at home, and I was able to ring him, and I said, can you come and get the girls? I'm going down to the police station. Yeah, I got done, 0.06. Which meant I found myself in court. And preliminarily, they said, we'll talk to you again at another date, but we want you to go and do a serious traffic offenders course, which costs $150. Well, I got another day's work that week. Good. Pay for the course. As I exited the court, someone called me over. There was this guy that I didn't recognise. He was in a suit. And he said, David Poulden. I said, yeah. He said, did you used to live in East Hills back in the 1970s? I said, yes, I did. Why? He said, told me his name. He said, we rode our push bikes together. And then I recognised him. I said, what are you doing here? He said, oh, I'm a solicitor. I've got some cases here going on. He said, I heard what happened inside. He said, if you need any help, here's my card. I thought, well, I can't afford a solicitor, but good to see you anyway. When I was doing my serious traffic offenders course, I was talking to the guy who presented the course, And he said, look, you've only gone just over the limit, but the judge won't care. He said, the only way that you're going to get out of this is if you've got a solicitor. I'm going, oh no. So I thought, well, I don't believe in coincidences. So I rang my old mate, whom I hadn't seen since the 1970s. He said, come over and see me. I went over and saw him. I discussed the case with him. And then he changed the subject and he started talking about surfing. He said, oh, I'm a real keen surfer. I said, look, I used to be a surfer. I said, I've still got my old board hanging up in the shed. I haven't ridden in years. Oh, really? He said, I collect surfboards. What is it? I told him. I said, oh, it's a GNS, 6'8", twin fins, swallowtail, single flies, real radical. Oh, he said, I'd love to see it. I said, it's up in the shed. Oh, he said, I'll follow you home. So he came up to the shed, saw my old surfboard hanging on the wall, and he said, how would you feel if I represented you in court free of charge and you gifted me that surfboard? I said, I feel pretty good about that. Pulled the board down from the wall and off it went. Goodbye board, but I hadn't ridden it in years. He represented me in court on my day in court, and he was pretty jolly good. Apparently the judge didn't like people representing themselves. It wasn't what he liked to see. He liked to see them being represented. Well, he represented me, but at the end he called me up for sentencing. And he gave me an absolute dressing down about my foolishness, the consequences, the seriousness of it, the whole bit. And I thought, well, that's it. I'm finished. It was a good run. I'm going to lose my licence. I have to pay a big fine, which I haven't got the money for. And also, tomorrow, I'm starting a new job after 8 months, a permanent job at a local nursing home. So at the end of my absolute dressing down, he said, Mr. Poulden, we'll be proceeding to a Section 10 bond without conviction. You are now on a 2-year good behaviour bond. Go and behave yourself. And I walked out of there a free man. No conviction, no loss of licence, no fine. God provided in my stupidity and in my sin. He still provided. So what's this got to do about Wednesday? A little while before this, our alter ego that Wendy and Trevor bought off me, and then you gave it away after that, didn't you? Our old Tarago dropped a wheel bearing. Now, it was a bit serious because it was a 4-wheel drive Tarago, and dropping wheel bearings in those was not a good thing to do. I had it towed to my local mechanic on a Friday afternoon, and I said, when's it going to be ready? He said, Wednesday. I said, how much is it going to be? He said, oh, about $1,500. And I'm going, okay, $1,500, today's Friday, Wednesday, not looking good. All right, and then I was reminded all the way back to the day when I registered that same vehicle. On the Monday, I'd come back on the Sunday, I was talking to somebody here about that, and they said, have you got the money? I said, no. Have you got any of the money? I said, no. They said, what are you going to do? I said, it ain't Wednesday yet. Monday, I had a phone call from my mother-in-law, Shirley. My mother-in-law's been with Jesus now for over 12 years, but she was very much with us back then. And she rang me and she said, look, Howard and I, Howard being my father-in-law, Howard and I have been praying for you guys. We just felt like you need some money. I said, yeah, I need some money. And she said, how would $1,000 help? And I'm thinking, $1,000 would be really, really terrific. Thank you, Shirley. I'll transfer it over straight away, she said. Monday, $1,000. Ain't Wednesday yet. That afternoon, I went out to the mailbox, and there was a letter from my mum and dad, who were living up near Coffs Harbour back then. It was fairly brief. It was just a little note saying, "Dear Dave and Robin, we've been praying for you guys. God told us that you needed this." And it was a cheque for $200. Now, there's two things about that. Mum and Dad ran a faith ministry up on their property up near Coffs Harbour. They didn't really have an income. But yet God told them that we needed this, and then they were obedient. $1,200, Monday, going good. Tuesday afternoon, I went back out to the letterbox, and there were two letters in that mailbox. One of them was from old friends of ours from our days when we lived in the Blue Mountains back in the early 1990s. And it said almost the same thing. "Dear David and Robin, we've been praying for you guys, and God told us that you needed this." There was another cheque for $200. $1,400. It ain't Wednesday yet. There was one other envelope. It was unmarked. Nothing written on it, inside or out. I opened it up. There was a $50 note in it. Now, to this day, I do not know where that came from. I do not know who put it there, but if you're here today, bless you. $1,450. It ain't Wednesday yet, it's only Tuesday. Wednesday afternoon, before going to pick up the car, I went out to the mailbox, and guess what? It was empty. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm sure that I can scrape up $50 from somewhere. So I went down to the mechanics. It was ready. He made out the bill, handed me the bill. Do I need to tell you how much the bill was? $1,450. It was Wednesday. And God honoured his promise. And that is my message from this testimony today, because this is my story. It's practical, because I'm a practical sort of a person. But he honoured his promise. He started out in the spiritual with that peace, and then he became practical. And he provided. He provided everything that my family needed over that 8-month break. Everything. Nothing more and nothing less. Just what we needed. And he even provided it in my sin and stupidity and law breaking. He provided it then as well. That's my story today. It ain't Wednesday yet. And he's going to provide. Let's just pray. Lord Jesus, this story, my story, never ceases to overwhelm me. And I love to tell it. And I thank you that you have given it to me. And I pray, Lord, today, that as we go out today into the week and beyond, that we remember that you honour your promises to us, that you are totally in control. When I think, Lord, that you are already speaking to those people even before my car broke down, and you chose them because you knew that they would be obedient. It's all part of the story, Lord. And I want to say thank you for that. And I want you, Lord, to bless these people here today who've heard that story. Amen.
Lord, I want to be a world changer, be a city on a hill that shines in the dark with the light of